You're listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast, hosted by Rudy Ruiz. Spoiler alert.
All right, rolling Drinks in a Movie podcast.
I'm ready. Oh, shit.
Are we rolling?
Stupid.
Are we rolling? Okay.
This is my first time. It's been a while since we've all been together.
I know.
It has been. It's been a minute. So everybody, special episode. I've got two co-hosts. We've got
Very
Matt.
special. Sorry.
Matt is
I don't like to say co-hosts. I like to say other hosts.
Yeah.
We got Matt and Chris out here, and we've got a plethora
Dude.
of whiskey to try right
Thankfully,
now.
I didn't pour them. Just want to let everyone know. So we should be able to talk.
I've never had alcohol poisoning, but I've seen it.
Oh, man. So today, we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite John Carpenter movies, which I feel like I say about all his movies. But 1976, Assault on Precinct 13. His second feature film, really kind of his first, since Dark Star was like a USC thesis film that they just kind of went and kept building on. But this was his first like completely out of school feature, independent, low budget, and we'll get into that. But first, let's talk about our drinks here. We've got a little bit of a spread here, an American single malt. We've got a little book, and then we've got Elijah Craig 18. So, Chris, tell us about our first drink, which we're going to start with our single malt, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, this was a gift from you.
Yeah.
Is that why you asked him just to get the admiration?
It's a single malt from Los Angeles Distillery.
Just so everyone knows, Rudy's a good guy. He gives that.
It's like I should find what's the most expensive bottle he's given me.
Sorry,
I'm surprised we're not doing this one.
That was a much nicer
Which
gift.
is much nicer. So this is from Los Angeles Distillery. It is their single malt. I'm usually not a single malt fan whatsoever. But it was something we've always discussed going to and going like, I think it just floods our Instagram feed all the time.
Oh, geez, okay.
I think we just talked like, at this point, this juice could be shitty, but I just need to go because these bottles are so beautiful.
Right.
And you actually got to go.
It's a great bottle.
And you actually had a cool experience, like talking to the guys like working there.
Yeah.
And I think that like as I'm trying to get into other things, mainly single malts or Scotch, I think it was a good like entry. Like it's still something I don't grab for a lot, but it's something that I'm getting more of a taste for.
Yeah, I remember because we wanted to do the tour together and it didn't quite work out. And I ended up just going on my own. It was a really fun time, like a lot of tasting. The people there were pretty cool. And I knew when I left, I was like, I got to get Chris the bottle because you talked about how you just love the bottle design.
It's
and
just
like
so cool.
The LA skyline.
It's an LA skyline that it has the palm trees in the back. You see through the single malt.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's Virgin Oak single malt whiskey. It's 100 proof. It's the gold medal winner of 2018 Consumer Choice Award. I never got that survey.
Right. You're not a member of that academy that.
And I fill out a lot of things.
I don't drink single malts at all. I assume mostly sipping, not a thing you're gonna mix in a beverage, or what's the approach with single malts?
Yeah, I think we talked about this in the last episode we did when we did the black label. You asked
that's right. Yeah,
but yeah, people will do like highballs, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
that's
like
right,
soda water, like Scotch and soda and stuff. There's I think penicillin is a cocktail where Scotch whiskey is the base too. I've never had it, but
that's right. We did break a Scotch.
I think their single malt is something perfect for that.
Okay, got it.
Like I don't think I'm at the point, even though that's the way we're doing it tonight. I don't think I'm at the point where with single malts, I'm just doing it neat or over the rocks. I am a little bit more with the second one.
Okay.
Just because of how interesting it is. But I guess when we were getting into like good rye and good bourbons, when someone said like, yeah, we'll just do Scotch and soda this, but I think we had only tried like at that point like really good Scotches. And I think that's what's kind of ruined me.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know it's not about Scotch, but man, like Scotch and sodas, but we had tried some really good ones. But then when you start to try the normal ones,
you can't go back.
You're just like, ugh, this is not what happened here.
Well, and I still even like the best of the best Scotches I've had. Like it still just isn't, and we've talked about it a bunch of times. It still just isn't for me. It's just that malted barley profile. Like I can appreciate them, and there's some I can be into.
I'm right there with you.
There's a reason I haven't like bought bottles and all that. And I thought this was interesting too, because American single malts, it's single malt whiskey, so it's like a Scotch, but it's not like legally Scotch. You know what I mean?
It's American.
Yeah, it's because it's American.
Like John Carpenter.
Right.
Yeah. who's from Kentucky.
Hey, look at that.
Real
So,
American.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, and American single malts are kind of blowing up right now. Like Bullet just released their American single malt. Jim Beam has their Claremont Steep. Little Book has some
Didn't
single
Jack
malt
Daniels
stuff
just
in
do
them.
one?
Jack Daniels did their
Yeah.
twice barreled, which was the, I think, 22 special release. And
Okay.
now it's going to be, I think, like a staple that's going to be on the shelves pretty
Got
soon.
it.
But yeah, American single malt. So let's go in and taste this. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just never ready. Like like this bottle's up in my office. That's how much I like it. But then when you're like, let's drink it, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, what a distinct nose. Like I immediately get like fruit.
Yeah, it's pretty nice right now. A little bit of a.
You're pretty
smoke
nice
and
right
fruit, Yeah. Well, and
Already there?
Matt and I just a week or two ago, I guess probably 2
Totally
weeks ago
forgot
now,
about this,
did the black label,
Yeah.
Johnny Walker Black.
God.
And then and we also did the J&B like a few weeks
Ooh.
ago.
Which was that one I remember. I mean, like, okay, this is not for me, but because it kind of tastes. We were talking, it's like a Coors Light. But if I remember correctly, one of my issues with the different labels is they weren't as distinct as I think I would have liked in some of those jumps, And so I guess once again, it just points. I'm not sophisticated enough or have a profile enough.
But this is why I like tasting with you.
Right.
Because you usually have like 3 bottles at a time.
Well,
and like a good consumer, you finish those bottles.
I do, yeah. I go,
And then you get another one.
Yeah.
And then behind me, it's
Yeah,
a bunch
collection.
of like, I mean, and I'm not even anywhere near Rudy.
Right.
But all of them are open.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
which is I'm down with that. If you're gonna collect, you might as well enjoy.
All right, here we go. Let's do it.
Come on.
Yeah,
Okay.
so right now this is pretty good. And
Yeah, that is.
in that tasting, even with their wheaters and their bourbons and their ryes,
This is kind of hitting the spot right now.
this was like, and even for me, someone who doesn't like single malts, it was my favorite. There was one other rye they had that was really good that I was torn between, but this is a good single malt. Like even
Man.
for me right now, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm agree, man.
And that's why,
Why don't
like,
I remember this? I wish there was more info on the bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
It says virgin oak, so I assume that means oak that hasn't been used before.
I guess so.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing.
man, that's.
Dude.
I mean, we all warmed up on Knob Creek 12,
Yeah.
and which I'm still even sipping. But man, that's kind of
It's got a nice little
nice flavor to it.
Yeah.
little fruit. Excuse me, fruity. Like I just feel like the malted barley isn't overpowering in this.
No, not at all, man. Maybe that's the thing. I feel like I'm getting more of the whiskey flavor, if you will.
I'm getting
Well, the whiskey flavor is like the barrel and the malted barley.
sure.
It's
Oh,
like
it's the combo.
the
Got it.
single
Okay.
malt
I got you.
is like that's all it is, whereas like your bourbon is your corn, your rye, and then
but
your
it
malted.
just
This is
feels like it's not. I
it
don't know.
definitely isn't a Miller Lite. Like
No,
like,
that's it's not JB.
yeah.
I just feel like you said, like the malted barley just ain't our thing. I just feel like I'm not getting overwhelmed with it
No.
here. Like the barrel. Once again, I don't know how old this is. It doesn't state on it. Its age. Do you remember if they talked about that at all?
They did. I don't remember the details at all. That was a while ago.
It's wacky
Yeah.
though. They don't have any there's no tasting notes or anything.
I mean, the bottle is beautiful.
And that's it. And nothing to distract.
Like
from
I
the,
kind of want all of them, even though I don't like.
just for the
Just
picture.
because it looks so good. Like it literally, like whoever did it killed it. And
Yeah.
And I believe you can find this one at Total Wine. Like
Really?
some of their expressions you
Oh,
can get
interesting.
at Total Wines. Yeah.
that's. I still want to go there. I still think the 3 of us need to go to a distillery together.
I thought we said Total Wine. Like we all do
We
together.
gotta go there, guys. The one at Rancho's, just swinging above its weight.
Just wondered where you were going with that.
It's a 50 cal and a 9mm neighborhood. I mean,
If you need a place to hang out on a Friday night,
Yeah, I'll tell you.
cowling at a
yeah, right across the street.
Rancho, Total Wine.
I'm gonna move over a little
Yeah,
bit.
go
Like
on.
I don't want to finish it yet.
Sure.
We'll move over to the Little Book.
You want to go straight into more drinks?
Yeah, well, I want to like try them side by side, and
Oh,
stuff, especially
daddy,
because
okay.
Little Book is like a variety of stuff. So,
Okay.
I'll save that one.
Little Book is a bottle that was gifted to you by Brian Schmidt.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Has had an episode on the show where
Hey,
he
shout out.
did a bunch of single barrel picks for a reserve bar, and a couple years ago he came, or a year ago, I don't know, came down and we tried some of his picks. So he gifted you this, and Little Book is a product out of James B. Beam Distillery, Jim Beam. And it's the project of Freddie No, who's the whatever fourth or something generation, distiller there.
Is it great grandson?
He's the grandson of Booker.
Okay,
Yeah, it's Booker, Freddie.
Okay.
So who I think is around my age too, but crazy. Anyway,
That's wild.
we're doing the 6th release. So this is chapter 6 to the finish. So I'll just read the description off of Distiller here. The 6th release in the Little Book limited edition annual series is dubbed To the Finish to reflect Freddie No's interest in cooking and the flavors that come together to complement each other. There are 5 components to this bottling, 4 of which begin as a 4-year-old straight malt whiskeys. Okay. These 4 are finished separately with different staves/barrels as follows: cherrywood staves, applewood smoked barrels, hickory smoked barrels, and maplewood staves. They are then blended together in various ratios along with the parcel of 5-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon. It's bottled without chill filtration at a cask strength of 117.45 proof.
Just so I understand the process a little bit. So when they blend and then they put it in the bottle, it's not so like it's not staying in a barrel for any period of time before it goes into the bottle while it's blended. I just don't know that.
Oh man, yeah. Hold on, I
would guess it doesn't, but
I wouldn't think so. I don't think
because if they're barreling it, and just because that seems like that could impact the flavor as well. But
because it does say they're finished separately with their different barrels, and then they're blended together.
Gotcha.
With the 5-year-old bourbon. Yeah. So was there anything else on the tab?
A bright finish with a robust mouthfeel and welcoming sweetness.
Oh, lovely.
I mean, it's a super super fortunate that Brian gave me this. They all come in like a super sweet box.
Yeah, the box is sweet.
I mean, and even once you open up, it has this cool stamp. It's just a cool bottle.
It looks like you don't want to give it. It looks like a gift you don't want to give away. Like you want to keep it, man. That's I love that bottle. Like the time and effort they put into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I opened it up at a Christmas party with like Matt, Noe, Steven, and it was, I was like, "Hey guys, I want you to try this."
Yeah,
and they were not ready. They're like, "Oh, Chris probably brought some bourbon." And I was like, and they're like, "Well, can you make an old fashioned with it?" I was like, "No." I brought some Buffalo Trace for that. But I think that I just like that anytime someone's experimenting, I dig it, and I think that it's a great choice for this episode as well.
Yeah.
Just because it's like super experimental, and you get a different single one every year.
Yeah.
And I really want the current one.
I wish I could try more of them. I remember trying one at the Cove a few years ago, and I was not into it. But that's before I knew that it was that Little Book was like blends of all these different types of whiskeys. I was expecting it to be more like a Booker's. I was like, all right, well, Little Book, is it like Little Booker's?
Sure.
You want
that?
I love like
it had its volume, its proof on there, so it's a little
117.45.
Yeah, we're gonna jump a little bit here.
Well, cheers.
We're getting close to Rudy's territory.
Yeah, well, almost it is his comfort level.
I'll tell you one thing.
It definitely smells different.
It smells really good. I mean, just look at the color of it. It's like, it's not motor oil, but
Yeah, compared to the single malt, I can't really pick up as much.
Not at all. It's much more subtle.
It's very bourbony. It's very bourbony on the nose, and I think when you're gonna find all the staves here in a second.
It's an interesting one, and I can appreciate the experimentation. Not quite for me, but
so it ends very weird.
Yeah, it's like a type of fruit I can't put my
up front. I was definitely this is bourbon. No, what is all this coming after that? Like the very first initial on my tongue, like this traditional bourbon almost could be Bullet or anything else in the well, but then it goes different.
I will say, man, this finish is like on another level compared to what we just had. I'm feeling it so much.
Still going,
it's still going, yeah.
In the finish is where I get more of that single malty kind of vibe and a little bit of smoke. The same kind of punch I get on the nose on the Los Angeles single malt, I'm getting on the finish here.
Man, I'm getting I know it sounds crap. I'm getting like a banana bread on the
really.
I'm getting I'm getting a fruit on the end now, but it really feels like almost like a banana cream pie to me at the end. and I'm
Damn, okay. And that's so different from me.
I'm liking it more now than I remember. I think I like single malt.
As Steven says, situational.
Situational, yeah.
It's so funny. I don't know if what you said influenced me, but I think I definitely do. For me, it's a little bit more in the middle towards the end, that fruit-ishness. Yeah. But it could be banana. It could for sure be. It's something like that.
It's something like creamy, fruity.
Creamy-ish, yeah. I agree with that too.
I like it. I think it's definitely a pour that belongs neat.
I can't say you really taste anything like that either.
It is super unique.
They're very unique. Yeah. They're like in a class of like I wouldn't even. It wouldn't cross my mind to make something out of this. It's like
it's kind of like John Carpenter made it. If John Carpenter was gonna make a whiskey, it'd be a little book.
Yeah.
No, I was really worried we were gonna drink these first two, and I was gonna be like, oh, I can't believe I own these.
No,
but like I'm. And number two, I want to say that does not feel like 117.
No, not at all. I agree with that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's
I literally just thought of it. I literally just thought of it right now. Like, oh my gosh, it doesn't. Yeah. It's like a gun with a silencer.
Way to tie the whole thing.
I'm firing up silencers.
I've been firing off empty shots all night.
That was so sorry. I laughed so hard in that. Sorry,
man. Poor old Wells never did get to see the border. All right. So what's our third pour for this one, Matt?
Oh, good old Elijah Craig 18. This is actually not the one that was gifted to me, just to let you know. Yeah. That one's already been poured through. But on one of my birthdays, the fellas pulled together, actually the fellas, everyone and lady pulled together for a bottle of Elijah Craig 18. If you're not familiar with it, you should be. I don't know. What do you say about Elijah? I mean, if you know the Elijah Craig 18, this is like all of the best things about Elijah Craig in a great bottle. I don't know. I
will say this. I think it's a perfect bottle for you because of the taste profiles you tend to like. So not so much for Rudy. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it enough to where we had it. I wish there was a video right now.
Because I'm just thinking, like, should I take Matt to task on that? It's the fact that he just said is everything good about it. Like,
it's just if
to each their own.
If anyone is ever,
if that's your thing.
Sometimes I feel like Rudy is just messing with us, and then sometimes I don't. Yeah. But like, either me or Matt will drink like something we really like, and then Rudy will sip it and go, trash. And I'm going to go with 99% of the time he's joking, but there's a percent there where he's there like, I don't like this. But I just think that for me, like, I've always just been a fan of all the Elijah Craig expressions, not so much the toasted barrel.
That's right. You got one, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I finally did it. And I think it's interesting if you want a little, maybe a smokier old fashioned or something like that, but it's not something that it doesn't hold a candle to Michter's.
Oh yeah,
I totally agree.
Not even close.
Yeah. But I remember that you and I, Rudy and I had Elijah Craig 18 one time at Bar Jackalope, and I asked if I could just have the bottle.
Oh yeah,
and the girl's like, yeah, no problem. And then all of a sudden she took it and just walked away with it. And then I think Peter came out maybe.
I don't remember.
I think it was Peter, and I was like, yo man, I really wanted that bottle. I just want the bottle. Because I just want to save it. I just really like the bottle. And obviously there's a huge issue with people getting a hold of bottles like this and putting the wrong juice in them, finding a way
trying to
resell it and selling it with like, I don't know, J&B in it or something. I don't know,
apple juice.
Iced tea, I don't know. Yeah. But I think because they knew us, they were just like, hey man, put it in your pocket. I don't even know where that bottle is now. So I think it got lost in the move. But I've
noticed, I don't know, I think Rudy also, because of like your experience and stuff, I've shared Elijah Craig with a few people who've never, or this might be their first bourbon or might, be something like that. And a lot of times it doesn't scare people off from bourbon is what it's welcoming to say the least. So I think that's why I like the 18 so much.
Well, and I think if you give any of these like a Elijah Craig 18 or
well, by default, anything with an age statement like that, people are automatically gonna put it in like another tier.
But I think what Matt's saying is like maybe someone that doesn't even know anything about, because like honestly, I think it goes both ways, because I think like if I gave someone a sip of Eagle Rare 17, they might be like, "Whoa, this is what bourbon tastes like." It's
right.
like, whoa.
Be careful.
But then there's moments where when I was at that get together and I had Eagle Rare and then an Eagle Rare single barrel pick, and me and you, it was like this single barrel
is night and day.
This is night and day
It's not
of being
even
a
close.
single barrel.
Oh, totally.
Because I won't get into it. Never mind. and then everyone else at the party is like, no, this one right here, this normal one, this is what we want. I was like, well, you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
You can keep the bottle.
Yeah, how you feel, how you're tasting it is just wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Well, and it is like a 90 proofer too, so it's
Right,
like
that's the
really
other
soft
issue.
and
Yeah.
easy. So yeah, if you're talking about like someone who isn't well versed, it does work out.
Well, if you want to spit it back in my face after you taste it,
No, don't do that. Don't spit it in my glass.
Yeah,
I will say it smells great.
It smells
It
great.
smells fantastic. Get that little bit of that oaky.
just pure oak
Pure
to me.
oak,
Just
yeah.
pure oak to me.
Just put it in mine.
But
Just say you drank it. Edit this part out.
Stop bitching.
no, but
hear you.
I'm stoked to try it against not against, but with these two.
Just to see how
I think
it's
gonna be-
progressing into it.
Yeah,
What is the proof on this,
interesting.
Matt?
Yeah.
pretty sure it's 90, right? 45.
Yeah, you can tell. It's so funny because we went from a 113 to you can big time tell we've stepped down in proof. How funny.
All right, I want to hear y'all's thoughts first, then I'll go.
I feel a little fucked up right now because it almost feels like it's missing a little bit of flavor compared to the other two and I know that's awful to say, but at the same time, it's super smooth. Like it is the easiest going down of so many.
Especially coming after that little book where there's there's a lot of complexity in there.
This is just like
compared to this
pure flavor. Definitely has the fruitness because it's a bourbon and everything, but it's that's tasty. Interesting to go with that one last. If we were doing this, I don't know.
Normally, I would be very much about
Going improve.
Yeah. And it's funny. I was listening to I listen to Bourbon Pursuit a lot. I remember there was this old one where Fred Minnick talked about how that's like a lazy way to do tastings or whatever. Because it's like there was reasons for it that I'm not going to go into. But what's interesting too is because then you do have stuff that doesn't even taste like the proof. Like right now, to me at least, I can definitely tell it's a lower proof, but that's not what is. In this case, I don't think it's a negative. And like we said, even the 117.45 of the little book compared to I don't even know what proof.
100 proof.
So 100.
Like wasn't that big of a difference.
No,
you know
I
what I mean? And even this, it's not like wildly. Whereas if we got like that Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye, we would immediately be like, oh shit, Yeah, but what's your thoughts on this, Chris?
It's weird having this one last.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a lot of times I put a lot of note into the nose. I think I think I have an okay nose, and I think other than some of the midwinters, but I love the nose of this.
Yeah.
I do feel that there is a lot of oakiness in it, and I don't get a lot on the front of my palate right away.
Agreed.
I feel like it kind of disappears, and I get a lot of like tannic notes, and then my mouth just starts to water.
Yeah.
And I think that's from the oakiness.
Same here.
And I get a lot of the oakiness, but then as the powerful oakiness kind of goes away, I get me personally. And I'm glad I'm going last, so I don't mess up with it. Well, you've been drinking longer than I have. I get a lot of vanilla, me personally, at the very end. Like once like my mouth is watered like crazy. Like I immediately right now, as I took a second sip, I wanted a cigar.
Yeah.
Like it made me feel like, man, I really want a cigar with this.
Yeah.
And it would be something I would literally ask Brian, like, what do you think I should pair with? Because he has like, some of the times I've been over at his house, he's like, do you wanna? And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And he's like, what about this one? I'm like, I feel bad. He's like, just take it.
Yeah, just say yes.
Because I do feel sometimes with what you're drinking, you have a cigar with it.
Oh,
It opens it up. I really like that. It is a little oakier than I remember. I just wish there was a little bit more at the front.
Agreed.
I feel like I just compare everything to Knob Creek 18.
Not a bad one.
Because it's one of my favorites, and I think after this podcast we should go blind.
Well,
with it.
so dang, okay, because I was gonna ask, and I don't want to put you out, so feel free to say no, don't say yeah because it's a recording. But would you be down? And would you be down to
100%
do a little
100%?
Knob
You'll
Creek
do it
18 right now? Yeah. Just like a tiny bit, like literally just like one sip.
Well, we could put it in. Well,
I got Michael and Karen's here. Let's do like a fresh.
No, see, Rudy,
This has now become a 4-bottle episode, folks.
That's how you know.
Bottle episode.
Hey, you guys did like a 9-bottle episode. One time,
That's true. That's true.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's fair.
And I was just like sitting at home, like, well, let my friends around.
By the way, the next day after the 8 bottle, I didn't tell you. I'm like, I was
perfectly fine, dude.
Yeah, fuck you, motherfucker.
Wait, no, were you hungover?
Dude, it's been forever since that's happened. But I was like, all 41 might be my
yeah,
years.
Rudy, we're over 40.
Yeah.
If I fall
we
off,
got your young blood, man.
if I fall off this chair, I could break a hip.
Because even in the episode, we both commented about how like, yeah, we're feeling pretty good. Like we did this the pro way. It's like I wasn't drunk at all.
Maybe I didn't hydrate enough. I don't know. I had a kicking headache that thankfully some Excedrin and a burrito cured. But
oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Should we?
Oh okay.
Matt, I'll pass this one to you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll hand this one over to you then.
I'm going to be a little easier on you, Matt.
You could add up the retail value of all these and just put that.
Well, as long as you get your Knob Creek 18 at Costco.
That's it, folks. That's the new.
Man, now I feel like I'm going to
secret.
eat my words.
Okay.
No, so I want to give my take on the Elijah Craig 18.
Yeah.
It's good. It's cool. For me, it just pure oakiness, and it's a little too light. I think if it was 100 proof or more, it'd be a different situation. But yeah, I've never been like the biggest fan of it, especially because we all know I'm like a huge Beam fan.
Sure.
And we've gotten to do the Hardens Creeks one that are like the 17-year-old Beam.
Yeah.
And like by comparison, and I wish I had one with me, but at least we got the knob right now. It's like not even close.
I agree with you on that.
And those are 107 proof, I think, but it's just operating on a whole nother level. But with the EC18, I will say that this is where I finally learned, because you hear people talk about like the oak notes, and I'm like, well, I don't even know what that is. And once I finally had this, that's when I got that taste where I'm like, all right, now I know what that oak profile is, that flavor, that nose.
Yeah.
So I can apply that to other things that I drink.
Yeah, I immediately told Matt when he got here that he should try that Knob Creek twice barreled.
Yeah, the rye.
Yeah, I think he'd really like that.
In case you're wondering, folks, I'm just going to keep drinking the whole time. Maybe not leave ever. Just the whole weekend.
Yeah, and I might be stuck here.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's 2 extra bedrooms.
I'm going to try this Knob Creek 18.
Like
right
number one, I do love the color of the Knob Creek 18.
Smells
Have you
good.
had this?
No. Have we done Knob 18? I can't remember. Knob Creek 18?
Copland, I think.
Copland. Got it. That's right. We did.
Copland.
I know. Yeah. That was not for dramatic effect.
Yeah, I just took the sip of it. And yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. God damn, that's good. First of all, fuck, that's good.
Right.
Getting that
See,
at Costco.
okay,
God
see-
damn, that's so good.
I think okay. Ooh.
Wait till
That's the thing.
wait till maybe November.
Yeah, right.
I think no, I sound like Rudy. I think Knob Creek
that's good.
18 shows us at 100 proof what
Yeah.
Elijah Craig 18 is missing at the front of the pack.
I agree. Totally agree with that.
Just like right away, I was like, boom, hit me with flavor. Like I got
Yeah.
flavor right away, and it doesn't feel over oaked.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
And like literally to everything you just said. I think if it was just at you know what? They need us. Elijah Craig, if you're listening, we would offer our services at a fair rate.
Yeah, right. We're not going to gouge you. It's,
But even with the proof aside, though, like I've always been more
Well,
for
you're
me.
a-
Like
you're
I'm
a-
a huge Beam head,
Yeah.
so that Knob Creek flavor, not even the Knob Creek flavor, because you get it in like the Jim Beams as well, just like the Jim Beam profile.
Yeah.
James B. Beam.
You did really good the first time you did it. I was like, I can't believe you said. I can't even say it. Like, say it 2 times fast.
Is just like for me on a whole other thing. But what's funny is because some of the Heaven Hill stuff, like the Elijah Craig, sometimes can even get that same kind of nutty vibe that
Yeah.
the Beams get, you know. But yeah, it's just to me on another level, you know.
It's tough to argue that, man. I And perhaps this is where my palate has started to evolve, where I agree with Chris on that front end. Like you get, and then it's just as smooth. It's got the same, a very similar experience after that. But
Matt, have you had any of the barrel proof Elijah Craig's?
No.
Like the C923?
That's why he said this is the best of the East.
Oh yeah, I haven't had. Oh jeez. Oh my God.
We got to do a full.
Oh my God. It's gonna kill me.
You will try this before you leave here. When we take a break,
no problem.
You will. I don't care. You will not leave this home until you try
Folks,
this.
when you found out I've been in an accident, that's a.
Chris is holding up the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C923, the 13-year-old 7-month expression.
Yeah. And I won't even go into the story because we've already done
another
podcast where we literally talked about when I found that bottle.
Wacky.
Tuz bottles. But yeah. You're not leaving this home. And I don't care if you sleep in the fireplace.
Sold.
Oh, man.
Right, so was there a movie we watched?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to keep going back and forth. You know what? And I think I'm going to save my Elijah Craig 18 and my Knob Creek 18 because I do want to compare them with the Tropics when we get to that.
Okay.
So
there you go.
I'm going to hold on to these for a bit. Thank you again, Chris and Matt, for providing these bottles.
Dude,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
You provided enough,
great,
even
man.
though I
No
saw
kidding.
you didn't bring your infinity bottle.
I thought about it too. I'm sorry. I thought about it. I should have. These would have been good additions, but
there's a cute dog now at the table, folks.
No.
All productivity is stopped. We're just going to be enamored by a cute pup.
He's a closet serial killer. Nobody.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Okay. Oh, I need licks.
all right.
Okay, so
He likes Knob Creek.
yeah, he came for the 18.
John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13.
Freeze! This is the police. Drop your weapons and place your hands above your heads.
On Saturday, 6 members of the gang known as Street Thunder were ambushed by the police. On Sunday, the warlords of Street Thunder swore a blood oath to avenge their dead. For the gang called Street Thunder, it is a day of vengeance. It's war in the streets.
Oh, Jesus, come on. Come on, I'll give you my money. Just don't hurt me, please. Please.
It's terror in the night. It's the most shattering assault on a police station in history. Assault on Precinct 13.
This is the siege. It's a goddamn siege. You want to stay here and hold until somebody comes, okay? We're in the middle of a city, inside a police station.
What does that mean?
They're not afraid to die. Any of them. They want to rip us apart, no matter what it costs. It means to the death.
Precinct 13. Cut off. Isolated in the middle of a city. As a human wave of street killers turns the night into a nightmare.
We got a war going on down here. We can't find the damn thing.
A white-hot night of hate. Assault on Precinct 13.
Again, his second feature film, really kind of his first. I think this is when he is full, like realized, like, and becomes John Carpenter. Like what we know, that style of shooting and directing, acting, that very heavy Howard Hawks influence. And this was the first time viewing for both of you, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. And I think I watched this for the first time maybe 10 years ago or so, 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was a little late to the game on it.
Post-COVID, what is that? You know, everything is just a made-up
The new world.
Yeah.
And once I saw it, man, like I was completely blown away by it. And I immediately loved it as one of my favorite Carpenter films. And fairly recently, just a couple weeks ago, I got to see a screening of it at New Beverly with the full cinema.
Oh, man.
Really?
And most of the people there were seeing it for the first time because they typically ask, hey, like who's seeing this for the first time? And a lot of them were seeing it for the first time. And I'm sitting there like, oh hell yeah! Like I can't wait. And
theater experience,
dude, it's always amazing. And then you get all the reactions and all that stuff. And
do they show it on 35 there?
Yeah, it's only 35 in New
Okay,
York,
gotcha.
yeah.
Cool.
And the Vista now. So just to give the premise real quick for everybody, Assault on Precinct 13 follows this police station that's closing down. It's really like Precinct 9 Division 13 or something.
Yeah, notice that.
But Precinct 13 just sounds cooler, I guess.
It does, in all fairness.
And so there's this cop who's on his Austin Stoker's first night on the job. He goes out. They're just kind of holding out while it closes and everything is moving to the new station. And then meanwhile, there's this whole like gang situation happening where they, because of this dude, and we'll get into it, there's basically a gang siege on the police station and they got to hold out for the night. And not only that, but they have to team up with some of the inmates.
There happens to be a prisoner transfer that's passing through.
And they're there in holding. So, yeah, I mean, you guys tell me who wants to like go and just dig into their thoughts on it.
Go for it.
First off, I had only seen the 2005 version with Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, and Ethan Hawke. So I watched that for the first time maybe about 6 months ago.
Two actors I love, but I haven't seen that one either. So
John Leguizamo is in it. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is just the original. Let's see how it goes. Well, nope. They took a different route than John Carpenter did. And number one, I love John Carpenter's music.
Yeah,
I love it. It just pulls me in. Like
so good,
and it's so like, I think John Williams is the best to ever live, and there will be a dark day in this home when he moves on over the.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're literally gonna have to pour one out for that guy.
Yeah, it will be a hard day in the Callan household, but like something about the simplicity of his music, it just draws you in.
Yeah.
And so obviously I was expecting to see just the original version of what I saw in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I see an original movie, I feel like I'm always like, oh yeah, the remake was pretty close to this. And you're like, whatever. This couldn't have been, number one, there's at least one scene I can think of why they changed the premise. But I thought that I usually almost always go with like, but I kind of still like the remake a little bit better. It was a little bit more for our times.
Yeah.
Not this film. If you have not seen the original,
hell yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Just the like I don't like the gang and just like their the way they plan it out, and it almost gave me the vibes of like the gang in Cobra.
Okay, yeah.
Where they were almost like cult like.
Yeah, right.
Like because when they're like putting themselves and like filling the thing with blood, like you know, like, it made me think that, and it made the movie so much better because I really didn't know what the motives were of like, or what the gang was about, other than that they wanted that guy.
And the fact that they were doing DEI before it was cool. This gang is very diverse. There's representation from at least like four different cultures.
When those three guys walked up, I was like, well, that's wow.
There's a moment on the radio where it even says on the police radio, like, the unusual interracial mixture of the gang is blah, 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 blah. But that's the thing. They're all coming together. And it's almost like, and you know, we were almost going to do the Warriors tonight too, where it almost feels like it's that similar kind of idea of like, what if all these different people actually came together and worked together for a common goal?
Right.
It'd be psychotic.
But that's what happens. But
Rudy, I don't know if you've seen the 2005 version.
Yeah, I watched it recently.
Like you see both sides of what's happening. Like it cuts to the people outside.
Yeah.
It cuts. And I love that it never.
This movie doesn't explain anything. It doesn't have to.
It's literally just like I felt stuck in the precinct with them.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because in the 2005 version, they you know what's happening.
It's like corrupt cops.
That's a totally different experience.
It's corrupt cops. They want the money. They want Lawrence Fishburne. Like, and like once again, they fed me too much.
Yeah.
and it took away from the experience.
That's what's great. And I feel like this movie, and I was listening to the director's commentary today with John Carpenter. He talks about being a young writer, first time, and a lot of like, this isn't quite good. But man, looking back on it, like I think it, like you said, it holds up really well. I believe it. And even seeing it in the theater, it's like, okay, I'm not the only one who feels that way. Like people are into it. And John Carpenter is so great because he's so efficient at like how they deliver the information and when it's necessary. Like these gang members, you never see them really talk. They don't go and talk about, but you get that cold open where the gang bangers get like just blown away by the cops randomly
for no reason.
For no reason.
That we know.
Right.
And that's what that's why I was like, where the hell is this going?
Right. Yeah. And then you do hear like, I like that you do hear like the radio where these missing guns and this, and anyone who has these guns can like blah, 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 do this. And you just see the crate of guns and you get like the four, it's like the black guy, the Chicano guy. Cause in the credits, the Chicano warlord, Japanese warlord,
doesn't even get a name.
Like white warlord and like
give them all
black warlord.
Love it.
But it's like, they do their blood oath.
Yeah.
But I love that they don't need to say anything and you get what's going on.
Just know these guys are going to die for each other. That's the most important part of that.
Yeah.
And clearly there's like a vendetta of sorts because we saw these people get whacked in the first scene,
And I just liked that in this version, the original version, the precinct was much more vulnerable. Than the one in 2005. Like, I mean, it was just like, I mean, they're coming through the windows. I mean, because it's like, once again, in the 2005 version, you kind of knew how many people were outside.
Yeah.
And in this one, you didn't know. And when it just, I mean, I don't want to jump into it too much because we might talk about these scenes, but it was like, why would somebody stop? Where are the bodies?
Yeah, everything right. It has a reason.
And it's like, holy, they've drug out their own dead bodies. Yeah. Like, and you just love it because you're like, okay, wait, they're operating at a high level.
Yeah.
But they still won't cut me to like, because you're just waiting for them to cut to their leader. Like, all right, we got all the bodies, right, guys? But like, it never does. And I love it.
It's so great. Like, so, sorry, I'll pass it to you in a second.
No,
but
please.
What's great too is I was really hoping to watch Rio Bravo before doing this episode, but I didn't have time.
Same here.
Because
I feel like I should.
Yeah, John Carpenter, like his big like directing, influence is Howard Hawks. Right. And Rio Bravo was like Dean Martin, Wayne, the cowboy guy, John Wayne movie.
So you watch a lot of John Wayne.
Wayne. I was like,
I think about Wayne Newton.
Wayne Dillon.
But I guess this concept is kind of taken from that, where that's another situation where they have to like hold down this area and they're under siege. And this movie, when you think about it, is very much in the Western tradition. It is a modern way. And I love that. Like we talked about that when we did the Copland episode.
Totally got that vibe.
Yeah, very much like, this is the Western film, but set in like the 70s.
The only thing you missed was a saloon. There was no beverage at some point.
Right. And, and I remember thinking this at the time, and it was funny listening to the commentary because he talks about it, how it also takes a lot from Night of the Living Dead. Very much that vibe, like, dude, and I love those shots of like when you see the gang members out, like they're always backlit.
You can never see a face.
You never see their faces. It's just and it's just this relentless like onslaught of like what seems like never-ending hordes of people that just will not stop, and that they're a mystery the whole entire time. And even when they walk up and they throw the like bowl of blood and put the flag down, it's like, I love that. And that's all you need. Like, you don't need them to talk. You don't need to hear any backstories. And it puts you, I think you said this, like in the position of the people in the station. Even the fact that they can't get information from the father because he's in shock. Yeah, like he said, useless.
What a lump, and
he's kind of like the Barbara, like not like the Barbara of this group. And that they don't, and I love that Lee even says at some point, like, man, all this for him. Like, we don't know who he is, what he's done. Like, this guy can be anybody.
Yeah, but he came to us.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask Matt a question because we both watched it on the same streaming service. Did you notice one scene out of all of that all of a sudden went into 4K and was so clear, it like jumped out at me? I literally had to rewind it and watch it again.
No.
So the scene when the badass woman that works in the precinct when
Elij, I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
When she opens up and she gets into the cell with, his name was Napoleon, right?
Napoleon Wilson.
And he gets in there and then he starts fighting the gang member. Yeah. For me on my TV, it went into the clearest 4K. So when he was like, I'm not gonna say it, like I was like, that's a dummy arm.
That was
a great moment.
Though. You see the arm go that way.
But all of a sudden it was like, I was watching because it's an older movie, and all of a sudden it was like, why is this scene like amazing? It was really shot, but I'll have to show it to you. Like on my TV, it all of a sudden went to like 8K.
My transfer was really clear the whole time.
I mean, I was clear too, but all of a sudden it was like I'm in the
super duper high.
It's kind of like that on the Blu-ray too, and even seeing the film print. I think it just like the light. I think everything was just perfect in that shot. Yeah. Funny enough is like watching the Blu-ray, because the Blu-ray is pristine, it's beautiful, but there are like some shots and stuff where it's like, oh, here's one that wasn't restored as well, where there's more grain or whatever,
or the situation may have been deteriorated.
Yeah, whatever the situation was on set. And man, I'll tell you guys this. My memory might not be that great, but seeing the 35 millimeter print, and it was a print from the 80s. It was an older one. It's not like a new strike. That shit, like watching that, and then a week and a half later, watching my Blu-ray, dude, that print is just as good, if not better. Like,
that's
it was on the same
taken care of.
point.
It's been, I'm
like,
sure they cleaned it then.
Yeah, like
a 65-degree room.
That's wild.
Like there's scratches here and there, but like for being a print from the 80s, like
dude,
you would think it'd be tinted and completely worn out, but.
So I've agreed with like basically everything everyone's saying here. What a fun movie to watch. First things first, I don't have a very good sound system in my house, so I've been trying to watch more movies with headphones and getting the full experience.
It's actually really smart.
Dude, I was watching on a smaller screen for this one. I couldn't watch it on the TV. So just having that sound, it makes you feel, like to your point, this is what I love about the fucking movies, man. I want to see this one on a big screen now too, because it gives you that. I felt like I was in there with those dudes.
Now
right?
I literally have a good sound bar hooked up. I usually only put it on for like football.
Right.
I'm just like,
dude, Chris,
but now I'm like, man, maybe I should. It's so easy to switch over.
Even when you think about that, like that bassy
synth man, it's so good.
Man.
So
that's a really good point.
Share a little bit of my experience with this one because I enjoyed all the buildup. There's no wasted film in this at all. 90 minutes. It is a tight 90. We talk about that.
It was fast.
In Carpenter, and mostly he's really efficient, man. He just doesn't mess around.
What's funny too, and sorry, even in his commentary, he talks a lot about like, this is pretty slow. This is pretty slow, like for modern audiences. He's like, but low budget.
I disagree.
And he's like, I was making it feel like it feels like an older movie. And it's interesting to hear him talk about this movie he made in the 70s. And he's like, it's more of the pace of like a older 30s, 40s film. Man. And I'm like,
no, I thought it was
and they
fast.
even use like a fog filter on it. Like
I did notice that a couple times. Yeah.
He's like, to give that kind of older look in some shots and whatnot. And I'm like, damn, dude. Yeah. Like you don't even know how well this shit holds up. Like,
no, I think it's wonderfully paced. That's the thing I love about it almost the most.
And I even liked, I'm sorry, Matt,
No.
I just liked how it was actually, it was fast, but it was a little bit of a slow burn at the beginning.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm going to keep referencing the 2005 remake.
Yeah.
The 2005 remake, you pretty much know what's about to happen. But it's like, I was like, ooh, why are we following this guy? Like, why does he? He wants the nanny to move in. He likes the nanny. I'm going to use my daughter. But why are we following this guy?
Right.
And for me, it was like, this is super different than 05. Like, where are we going?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the thing I actually wanted to talk about a little bit. Enjoying the build up to it. It's cool to see these people, all these different things, these pieces, setting the stage for what's about to happen. And the little girl, the little daughter, first of all, I grew up on a movie called Escape to Witch Mountain.
That was
you ever seen that film?
I haven't, but I know that's her.
So when they blew her away so unceremoniously and so quick, I literally peeked up in my seat and almost vomited. I'm like, fuck you just killed my childhood, you I wanted that guy to get murdered right there.
I texted Rudy immediately because I literally was in that and I went out loud. Like my dog jumped. I went, "Oh shit!"
And he murdered Tia. I mean,
and then Rudy responded to me. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty wild, even for today's standards."
Dude, yeah,
literally wild. I totally agree. Wow. You don't see it like that.
Yeah,
and I did not see that coming.
Yeah, the first time I saw this movie, same exact reaction, man. I was like, oh, just like, hey, vanilla twist. And he just turns around.
This isn't a vanilla twist.
That fool from Escape from New York. That's the same guy. And just the fucking squib, dude.
It's some of the most fun in the whole movie, dude.
Yeah, right. No, it really is.
Holy
now that you mention it. Yeah. And I remember just being completely shocked. Like,
that changed everything for me in this film.
Yeah.
Because then, okay,
like, they just did that.
If you're going to kill a 6-year-old or 8-year-old little girl, nobody is safe. I just assumed everyone was going to die at the end based on that.
And someone who's like a Disney kid of all things, too.
Oh, a Disney, yes, exactly.
And man, what's crazy, what's funny, too, is like seeing it in the theater, and when like 2/3 of the group raised their hands saying they didn't see it, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to get to this part.
Oh, my God.
Dude, and you hear it, like all the gasps, and everyone's like, what?
Because there's no build-up. It's literally shoot her right in the thing.
Yeah, there's no music. Yeah, nothing.
They built you up that he's going to let these people live. Like, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, man.
One of the greatest scenes I think I've ever, like, just so shocked, not great.
Yeah, one of the most shocking
scenes I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, like truly by today's standards, because like killing kids in movies and shit, it like still is kind of like not, it's pretty taboo, you know? And for him to do that then, and he even said himself that, you know, in the commentary, he's like, you know what? Like, if I did this again, he's like, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm glad you did that.
Dude, I was waiting for the gang member to speak.
Yes.
And to like literally just like peek his head around and be like, sorry. Like
Truck's closed.
Truck's closed. Like that. And she'd be like, and maybe point the gun at her, like, go home. That's what I was waiting for. And I was blown. I mean, sorry, little girl. We were both blown away.
And isn't that crazy? Because now that you mention that, like, yeah, like, and it shows how many other movies would have followed exactly, like, and how many other movies do that.
Well, I think of Con Air, where you had the creepy guy, like, would do creepy things to children, but they never actually go that route. Here's one where, we're not even going to talk about it. We're just going to blow the kid away. You know?
And at least in like Con Air, that was a moment of building suspense because you know he's like a lunatic. Yeah.
But that's what you would
and
get.
You don't get there. But here, the fact that it comes out of nowhere.
Literally blast the child away. There's not many times I can be shocked in cinema as much as I used to. Yeah. And that was one of those ones where
that's what we should show kids today when they're like, well, I don't want this for dinner. Well, let's go watch this John Carpenter movie really quick. This little girl's complaining about the ice cream she doesn't like. So eat your fucking carrots and shut up.
The only other time that I've been shocked like that, and I'm going to spoil Breaking Bad, so if you've never seen Breaking Bad, but at the train heist in Breaking Bad, where at the end, what's his face?
That's right.
You know,
Jesse Plemons,
blows away that kid. Like, you just don't see those things very often, and so when it's done that way for such an important effect, like, that changes everything in the film. Like, if this scene doesn't exist, and I so surprised when I read that too, that Carpenter was thinking about, that maybe that was a little gratuitous. I'm like, no, this is. And by the way, if you listen to this podcast, I'm the guy who's like, oh, this is a little too violent. This is a little too violent. This was not. This was changes everything in the film.
That really is the catalyst of everything.
Yeah, it goes to show you, like, oh, this is where the gang is.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
This is where they stand.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that was interesting, and I mean, I caught this the last couple of times I watched this was, I don't know, did it make you guys think of something a little bit? Because you know how the father's driving with the daughter and they're clearly going to go. They want grandma to move with them or whatever. But there's a moment where she sees the cops because he needs directions. She's like, oh, you can ask them. And then he just kind of looks in the mirror and is all weird about it. Like, that adds an interesting layer to that character. And you don't know anything about it because then she's like, oh, Miss So-and-so says that you can always go to the cops, right? And he's like, well, Miss So-and-so hasn't lived. And it's interesting
because 6 steps out of 6th grade.
Yeah. Because you don't know anything about them. And that adds like another layer of mystery, which I thought was interesting because it's like, oh, why is this guy like not want to go talk to the cops?
Well, right away, I thought the dad was a dirtbag because he wants the nanny to move in and he wants the little girl so he has the hots for the nanny.
Well, he said nanny. I thought he was talking like Nana.
No,
like
nanny.
A family.
No. It's the person that babysits his daughter, and he's like, he's like, you're gonna go in there. You're gonna say like,
but I think you're right.
He's gonna go in there and you're gonna say, well, we can't do it without you, and we want you to live. And he's literally like because we want her to live with us. Remember, and it's like, oh, this dude's a creep. Like, number one, like, how old is this woman? Because it's giving vibes that she's 18 maybe younger.
I didn't take it that way at all.
Well, because it went even higher for me when she was like, "We can ask the cops," and he's like, "Shut up! I'm trying to get this minor to move in with us, and you over here blabbing your mouth. Go get your ice cream."
I bumped on the cop thing too, but I chalked it up to this is set in LA, and that's the feeling a lot of people have about the cops in LA.
Touche.
So I was like, we're just setting the LA vibe. I get it.
Even in the 70s.
I mean,
pre-Rodney.
Dude, I mean, but you didn't live through the Watts riot. My mom did, so she told us about all this shit. They didn't trust the cops the same way.
For sure.
So I was like,
No, I took it that the nanny was probably a younger woman and that he shouldn't be.
Well, I just thought of it like a Nana, oh shit, okay, huh.
I did like, there were some really good laugh out loud moments in the film, interestingly enough. And one of them was where we go back to the precinct and the cop's getting coffee and she's like, how do you, all right, black? And he's like,
yeah. For over 37 years. For over 30 years.
30 years, I like that one. So I like the make some of that up.
And on that scene too, and I like how efficiently they established that it's his first night on the job. Yeah. He wants some action.
And he's believable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's really great. Austin Stoker.
Dude, great performance. And actually, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, and it goes throughout the thing that Carpenter talks about. These are the actors he could afford at the time, but he was smart to pick people who have acted in films and television because they all bring really believable performances. All of the leads, everyone in the film, really great performances.
Yeah. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, because there's we got a lot of people to talk about, but in that same moment where he makes that joke with the coffee, when they're talking about, how he said he grew up blocks from there. So he grew up in the hood. We know Anderson is like the ghetto of the hood. And Lee tells him something about how it's a good thing your father, knew to get you out at the right time. And I thought this is brilliant and gives us so much information about this character. Then they have a little exchange and he says, and something along the lines of, by the way, it's like, my father didn't take me out of Anderson. He's like, I walked out when I was 20. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so interesting because that tells us just where he stands as a man. We know that he is a intrinsically or inherently good man, that he's got a strong moral compass, that he's not going to be pushed around by outside forces or influenced. In such a simple line, you get a fair amount of information about him and that he's a person of his own making.
He's not afraid to talk back to a boss he's never met before, all those kind of things. Totally agree.
Yeah, really, that's a really good moment.
There's a lot of good lines like that in the whole film. Earlier before that, there's we don't need heroes. We just need, what does he say when he gets reassigned to the prison? Yeah. Just throughout that, there are just some the whole script is just really well written, but there's a bunch of different, and that was one of my green.
So I want to get in now because this is about the point where we meet the prisoners. They're going to get transferred by Charles Cyphers, who would show up in Halloween in the fog.
That was the first person I noticed.
Where do I?
Oh, okay.
Oh man, he was the assistant
the GM
to
or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That's what I recognized him from.
Oh my god! That's what. All I was like, I know this guy from somewhere, and I locked into Halloween.
Yeah, Sheriff Brackett.
Man, but what another great movie. Major League.
It's been too long.
Gosh.
Yeah, good one.
But
sorry.
We enter Napoleon Wilson. Darwin Jostin's the actor's name, I think, who I think he had a bit part in The Fog and maybe what's the Brian De Palma movie? The Phantom of the Paradise, maybe, or at least The Fog. I can't believe he didn't have a bigger career. Right? He became a driver or something for movies, and a lot of people, I think, consider him a precursor to Snake Plissken. Yo, I'm here to say it for me. Napoleon Wilson is cooler than Snake Plissken. He's cool. Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Napoleon is cooler than Snake Plissken.
No.
Maybe he's Napoleon Wilson is
cooler?
He's way cooler. He's way cooler.
No, man.
I don't know, man. That's a tough one for me.
No, I'm sorry. I can't.
He's got the badassery of Snake Plissken. He can handle himself, but he's also got the poetic lines and just definitely a funny thing to say about everything.
You got a cigarette?
Oh man,
I can't jump on that.
I'll forgive you because you've only seen the movie once.
That's our first experience with it.
It took me a while to get to that conclusion.
Yeah, but every time I was the name's Snake.
But like, that's like okay, guy. That's not that cool.
Yeah, and this guy just fought people. I mean, this Snake Plissken was like paragliding in and he's surfing.
Oh, now you're talking Escape from LA. That's not even the best of the movies.
Exactly. Like even in that, he held up as a cool son of a bitch. No,
when he throws that can up.
I'll tell you later. Okay, sorry.
I like Snake's guns better. I don't know.
I'm sorry. You can have your opinion, and I respect it, but you're just wrong.
Snake has a shotgun in a handgun. Okay, I mean, sorry.
And he has like snakeskin pants.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like I could never pull that off. I could pull off a freaking.
He's got the eye patch.
Yeah, I don't see.
Eye patch. That's where I was gonna go. But
I could never pull off an eye patch or snake skin pants, but I could pull off like.
The jumpsuit.
Like people would see me in a jumpsuit, like in jail, like, yeah, there goes Chris. But if they saw me like in like snakeskin pants and like a leather jacket, it'd be like, well, he's lost his goddamn mind.
And so so would you guys consider Napoleon kind of like the precursor to Snake? I mean, I don't. I feel like they're pretty different. I see why people would consider that. And maybe so, but I don't know.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
I will say I like the way that the script is written again, in that we know these are people who have done bad things, yet they don't explicitly say what they are.
He's a mystery.
The amount of information that's given to the audience is so perfectly chosen, and it makes so much sense, in the context of everything. So like we're left to make up our own mind about the dude, even though we know he's on death row. Like that's the one thing he must have done something.
We know he's murdered numerous people. Like,
right?
why did you murder all those guys? And he never answers it.
Never. Yeah. So. Just a super interesting piece of information we get.
Yeah, it sounds like they deserved it because he seemed like a pretty nice guy.
Yeah. Well, and he's getting abused by the warden. I love that. Like, I don't sit too well anymore, or whatever. And then when he wraps him up,
he don't stand too well. Like, I just think that like I liked his character. Yeah. I think when it comes to like the coolness, because like. I think that Snake Plissken was like a whole persona. Like the voice was different. Like everything. It was almost like a.
But so was Napoleon.
No, I think he talked like a normal human being.
Snake was just doing.
Clint Eastwood. I get it. But like Napoleon was never like, yeah, well, like there was never like this persona to where like
he had a persona though.
No, I just felt like it was a guy that was on death row. It literally didn't feel like anything more than that to me.
He had a whole vibe. He had all these cool things to say.
No, he's just witty.
He's witty.
Like no one is ever going to dress up like him for Halloween. People are going to dress up like Snake Plissken for Halloween.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Snake Plissken is iconic.
All right, and I'll jump around again. Sorry,
you can, but you're wrong.
I'm really surprised by that. I never thought this podcast was going to go bring Snake Plissken and Rudy was going to be ready to die on the hill.
Yeah, this is the 95 on. Like, well, luckily Rudy left his stuff here because he's leaving. Matt, you know how to work this shit, right?
I press the button, whatever.
I feel like you got to push my game a little bit. Wow. This is becoming the longest podcast we've ever done.
But all right, here's another thing though. Mm-hmm. One other thing I appreciated, and again, with like the good writing and great acting from all these characters. First off, Lee was a cool character right off the bat.
We have to talk about her.
Lee's fucking cool.
Oh my God,
I've never seen a woman other than freaking an alien. She stands there and takes the freaking bullet.
Doesn't even flinch,
number one, you don't see that a lot. A lot of strong women characters in a 70s film.
God, no, yeah.
I can't.
Star Wars?
I can't.
Pam Grier.
Pam Grier. Oh, yeah, Pam Grier.
Okay, yeah, but still in Star Wars, she was a damsel that needed saving.
But she
holds her own. She
had agency.
I get it, whatever. This bitch took a 9mm to the arm. I never saw Leia take a lightsaber to the arm. That's a good point. And when she didn't move, when she just stood there, I remember I looked at Norman because I'm by myself with a dog, so I'm conversing with him. I'm like, Norman, this bitch is badass. Yeah. And then she just waits and then jumps in there, and then she's like, hurts like hell, but I'm all right. Like, God damn. And she had I also like that there was also the other girl that was also freaking out.
Totally.
Nancy Loomis.
Like most of us would.
Also from Halloween.
Like any other human.
Yeah. They want him. Just let him go.
I just like that when she would aim the gun and you could see her calculating not yet, dead.
Oh, there's that great moment because after that happens when they're all like teamed up and they're getting blasted again. And it's like the shot of all of them loading up and she's got the revolver and it's like... And it's cool too because it adds a layer of mystery to her because it's like, oh, she like knows how to shoot and knows how to handle herself.
Asked her to go do it. She
just does it.
I did it myself. I was like, she didn't pass the test. She was too brutal. So they said you can be
the secretary.
The secretary because the way you handled that guy on the ground, you broke his hip.
Yeah, because even with Wells, it's like Wells, take the you watch this door, you watch it, and she just on her own knows like, I'm gonna watch the back door where they came in through the holding area.
She was one of the highlights.
Oh
man.
yeah, totally is great. But and the other thing that really makes it too is like you get that mystery of her. It's like, oh, she knows some shit.
She knows some shit. What's going on with her? Yeah.
Yo. And I never like really appreciate this in movies, but in this, it was so thick. That sexual tension between her and Napoleon.
Oh, it's so great, man.
Is so good. They don't say
because they don't say nothing.
Just they're always, even when as soon as he first comes, the looks, that was a close call back there. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. And when he does, because the whole movie, he's like, anyone got a smoke? And when she's just like, puts it in his mouth, you got a light? And then she fucking lights it with her thumb, or people do that shit with the matches. Oh my God. And they don't say anything, but you feel it, and they're just looking at each other. And throughout the movie, you just get those looks between them. And man, that great moment at the end when they're holding out, and he's just like, I was born out of time. Dude, the fucking crowd though, at New Beverly, everyone was just like, oh shit. Like he was starting clapping. Like I never like realized how kind of like
it was made
cool that line was, but like the way everyone reacted was just like, fuck yeah, like born out of time.
I thought the sexual tension was unneeded.
So
dude, no. Okay, I'm with you on this.
I thought
we're not going to die on this hill.
Because at the end of the day, like I just felt like, okay, this serial killer is being brought in.
Don't you think he'd want to have sex with somebody before he goes dying?
100%.
They're
100%. Yeah. He's walking in ready to hump anything. But I was not ready for Lee to be like,
No. Like this, but that's like, they're not. It's so subtle. Like if it was dialogue driven, I would have felt that way. Where it's like, okay, now you're just adding. This is that exploitation bullshit coming in. But because it's not,
later, honey. Yeah, stupid.
Because it's not dialogue driven.
It just kind of felt that way,
and it's literally through looks.
It felt forced to me.
Okay,
no.
So maybe this could be Rudy and I.
That's my table. You
Rudy's about to leave.
Take it.
Rudy's literally about to turn over the table for No, you and
I think she liked women. And his long hair was pretty feminine. She's like, I'd fuck you.
Oh, shit. Okay.
That would have been a wholly different film. But you and I have talked and watched a fair amount of Westerns on this film. And those things do happen where things aren't said, but a lot of times they do talk about them and then it's drawn out and this and that. This is just so subtle and it doesn't get in the way of the action, in my opinion. They're like,
oh, it did get in the way. I'm not saying that.
It was something that made these characters who they are. It adds way more mystery to Lee than it does to Napoleon for sure.
I don't think you're wrong, but I think if he would have said some of those things and she just would have like rolled her eyes or something, I'd have been like, yeah, shut up, dude.
He didn't say anything.
Dude, like, if you would have been like, hey, how you doing? You know,
I know, but like it's insinuated.
That's the whole.
But it's insinuated like in the subtext without words. And
this is the last time we recorded Chris's house. Sorry,
I don't give a shit.
There was something you said in there that I wanted to latch on to. I forgot though. Shit. No, I mean, I think it's really well.
I agree, man.
Well done. And yeah, definitely, I know we're all in agreement on this. Definitely doesn't get in the way of anything. And I think it was about how it adds. It does the work of giving us more reason to care about them. And then also the fact that they're all coming together. Like even, we're talking about that sexual tension with Lee and Napoleon, but even the dynamic between Napoleon and Bishop is really great too. Right. And how they respect each other. And clearly Napoleon is someone who responds to people that are strong-willed, people that have courage, so all these things just add to the character development, and even the stuff with him, like that's the second time you saved me out there. He's like, the first time, I let that slide because I thought you just whatever. He's up at the second time. You actually care about me. Like, you want me to survive.
I'm glad you bring that up. So at some point, I can't remember if it's Bishop. Yeah, it's Bishop. Maybe it is Bishop who brings up, oh man, that guy who got sick. That was just,
we're going to help him.
At the beginning of the movie, I actually thought that this was going to be a setup. When the guy was coughing on the bus, I'm like, oh, this is set up.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are going to get busted out. That's literally where I thought it was going.
I'm right there with you. I was
Right?
like, I see what's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you realize it's not, at least I don't, it's actually not just, it's not clear one way or the other.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that's the case.
It's a good misdirection, if anything. Yeah.
Really, for real, dude.
Yeah.
But then you realize, as much as Bishop has obviously shit that makes him a bad person as well, but at the same time,
good. Bishop is Austin Stoker, the cop.
Oh,
You're
not Bishop.
Napoleon.
Napoleon. Not Napoleon. No, the other
Wells.
Guy. Wells. Thank you.
Apollo Creed's trainer.
Yes, exactly. Creed's trainer in Rocky 3, Rocky 2, whatever that's.
All of them.
Every year he fought.
He was in all of them, yeah.
And then he trained Rocky.
Because he trains Rocky, yeah.
You gotta move your feet quicker. Your feet quicker.
Yeah, he trained Creed.
Dude, sorry.
He's not a machine. He's not a machine.
I usually only watch the first Rocky. All I watch is the fights after that. So anyway, that's a whole separate thing. But I appreciate that he lived kind of by his own code as well.
Yeah.
Whatever that code is, he's a bad dude. Like, Lee was almost the most hesitant about him compared to some of the other ones. And I appreciated that there was a code he lived by too. Like the characters have clear things that we can latch onto, traits that we can latch onto as an audience. And I thought that was really smart writing as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and even with Wells, like operating from fear, right? When he points the gun at Lee, and there's that point where she's just like, yo, man, like, and again, not like all freaked out.
Not
just
freaked
like,
out. Just
we're all in this together. We got to survive. And then she's like, his gun's not even loaded.
Yeah, dude, that's I laughed out loud. I was like, I've been shooting. Oh my god, I laughed out loud. But man, I'm glad you bring up the point about the guy.
No one said anything about the Cholo.
Yeah, the guy that was sick. I thought that was going to play in. And once again, I was thinking of the 2005 version. I was like, man, is this how something's going to work out? This guy's going to be sick in the precinct
just at the right time,
and it's how they hijack the ambulance or something like that, or maybe he gets so sick and then like inside the key and they cut his body. I was like, ooh, there it is, and I like how it just nothing came of it. It was literally just
dude
something.
Got smoked real quick.
It's kind of crazy, like how fast like all these fucking fools get whacked.
Oh yeah, they smoke.
You're like, oh man, they like really narrowed it down.
Yeah.
Man, oh sorry, you keep going.
I just like that he brought that up. It was just like, because I think viewers nowadays we've been so trained to key in on little moments like that,
right?
And like, ooh, where's that going?
Yeah,
and it was like, oh, it's going nowhere. Maybe I should just shut the hell up and watch how this movie
I was going to say, that's kind of funny because as you were talking about that, I'm like, oh man, you're writing like a whole new movie in your head right now.
Yeah. Well,
and then they're going to take over the ambulance and bust out.
But I think when you like, I watch
Assault on Precinct 13, that could make sense.
Yeah, but I watch a lot of the Marvel stuff, and I watch a lot of the YouTube like new rock stars and stuff like that, where they go and they find the Easter eggs. Right. That are going to lead us to something else. Like have you seen the new Deadpool trailer? Like there's like, dude, right next to him is the Secret Wars comic book. And so I think that with stuff like that, with these long-yeared multi-film movies, we've been trained to watch a movie like that, other than to just shut up and sit back and watch it. And
makes sense.
And I feel that when I go back and I watch any of these movies I've grown up with, because that's how films were made. Just just shut up, stop asking questions. It's going to happen. And it was nice to like be like, oh, like literally the moment that fool was gone, I was like, I just need to shut up. Like I just need to let the movie happen. And John Carpenter is going to show me what I need to lock into.
You literally just read my mind, and I think that's one of the most masterful things. I was a little bit surprised to find out this was only made for $100,000, especially at the time.
Jesus. Wild, dude. Another thing, much like that little girl getting blown away,
only for $100,000.
Another thing that is even by today's standards, like wild. Like
the lighting is so good in so many. The composition, the action, the editing. There's so many like just top quality. And I didn't even realize it was. I mean, until I read it, like Carpenter's basically his first, but his second film.
Yeah.
I mean.
I meant this is when you see like, oh, this is John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And even he's like, this is the first time I shot Panavision, done it since, because he loves that aspect ratio, like that 2.35, very wide, not a lot of tight close-ups.
No,
he exists in the in the medium close up, a lot of wide. You can see everything.
When I was watching the film, I definitely, because I just watched Night of the Living Dead for the first time like a month ago. So I'm just, that's
right. We never did our revisiting episode.
But I really enjoyed the film. And the fact that you're using some of those techniques that worked really well in that film, you're putting it into this one because you don't have access to 1,000 extras, So like, what can you do with that? Like just so many smart choices that, man. The one scene I want to talk about too was when the windows start getting shot out by the silencers. At first I'm like, okay, it felt a little cheap, but then it keeps going and keeps going.
It is a long,
and keeps going and keeps. I'm like, such a smart choice. Like at first I'm like, felt a little cheap, and then the more that it breaks down, the more I'm like, oh, these guys are fucked.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it also goes to show you like how many are out there.
Yeah,
dude, right?
And I like the point you just made about extras because when it's filming the either Bishop or it's filming the guy with his daughter, you can tell that the other people driving on the road are real people. Because they're like looking like, what the fuck? And I noticed that with I think the second lady. And then I also, it's funny you bring that up, Matt, because I was watching like, man, like I don't see a lot of extra people.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? Like it's just a day in LA. And it looks like
Precinct.
It looks like a rough part of LA. Like doesn't mean I need to see a ton of fucking people out. And
definitely looks like LA.
And it just felt so real to me.
Yeah.
Just so like it almost felt like I don't want to say documentary type. It just felt like a real day in like LA.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because I feel like, like the nights that like Rudy and I we've spent in LA where we go out and we start our whiskey tasting at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then we end up staying in the bar for a little bit. Then we come out at 9:30 and it's a completely different world.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt that way. Like, well, like, I don't know, what's 1 o'clock in LA look like?
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like that. And it's funny you brought that up. Like, we don't need all these extras. Like
that just reminded me, man, a good, like the John Carpenter, like horror filmmaker moment is when the gang members are just driving and they're getting all their guns out. And there's a shot of like the scope and it's on like the old lady walking.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so like the first time I watched it made me really uncomfortable.
For real, dude.
Because you don't know.
She could easily be murdered just like everyone else did.
Are they just going to like snipe random people out? And they don't. Yeah. And it's just, okay. So you get that release and then that leads into the little girl, which probably makes it even more impactful.
And I thought one of the most interesting scenes is during that car, and they're all putting silencers on.
Yeah,
and I was like,
"What?
They're all it." I laughed at first. I was like, "What's happening here? Like,
why bother?
Why are we all putting silencers on? Like, calm down."
That doesn't happen in films. I mean,
this is like, where'd you get the silencer for that Luger? Like, what's happening? But then, like, when the shootout happens, and when they say like
such a different type of shootout.
What's the closest house to here? I don't know, 500-600 yards.
Yeah, everything here's abandoned.
They didn't hear a thing.
Yeah,
it's like well they'll see. It's like, what are they gonna see?
Yeah,
I love that shit. And that even I love that even Austin Bishop, that even with him being a cop and he's like the hero of the group or whatever.
Right.
He is flawed and scared. I love that we see he's scared. Not like in that he's like, oh fuck, but just the fact that he's like, it's like someone's gonna come, somebody heard it, like someone's like he has faith in the police force system, and all that.
And there's so many good little moments. It just goes to good writing where they say like, I see like all the phone lines, and they're like, wait, that one's down over there, and they're like, oh. That means
no one nearby will call.
No one nearby. And it just that little thing, like, and it
all makes sense.
And you're just sitting there, like, on your couch or in the theater, like, oh shit, like, and just within one line, they told you they're fucked.
Yeah,
and they didn't have to show me that they tore the light down. They're just like, well, I see that they're all up. Like, oh wait, like.
I like that that's revealed later too by the, and it's funny because in the commentary, John Carpenter said that it was, I don't remember his words exactly, but it was kind of cheap that when the cops are driving around and they discover the phone guy like up there,
is dripping on the top of the car.
But to me, I was like, oh no, that's great. That makes sense. Like they sent someone to fix it, and then the gang whacked them, and so that's why they're driving around. They can't figure it out.
I thought it was so smart. I think that the only thing that I didn't like about the movie are just some things that you just see in an older movie, like just like either the way they act, like I don't know, just little things, like ooh, just that makes me feel like it's 1976.
I thought every bit of acting was great.
But I mean, it's so minute, like it's so minute that I literally can't even pick out the moments. Like either it's a sound thing or it's very little.
I only had one in my mind. And when the dad of the daughter murder or shoots the one, no, does he shoot the guy? When he was running away from the gang.
Yeah, he shot the white guy.
He shot the white guy. And he's running away. It looks like he's doing moving running.
Yeah.
Just because the camera, it's a lockdown shot. So he's not there. And I'm like, okay, I think he's running for the film. But that was the only one I bumped on. Everything else is.
I love though when he gets to that phone booth and trying to make the call, because it's just like blackness, just black, and then you see the dude start like emerging out of the darkness, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and runs like, And I love that because you're seeing here where you see some of the, because Carpenter would be known for his horror films after this, and you see like the seeds of that in some of these moments, which I really love.
I also like that the dad found him. And killed him, because I feel like like any father,
wouldn't any father do that? Yeah,
that like the guy's like, there's a gun under that. Like I feel like any dad like in that moment like would just be like, I've like just gone to another level of like psychotic. No, I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna.
My dad to this day still tells me that it's like, if one of you guys ever got killed, I'd want to do it threefold on that. Just like the instant.
My mom says that. My dad's like, well, but my mom is like, oh, they better have a cell ready.
There's one other thing I wanted to point out about the film, and Carpenter gave an interview where he talked about a significant portion of their money was spent on the sound design and the film processing.
Yeah,
and I got to tell you, I'm thankful he did, because even 40 almost 50 years later now, the film looks fantastic, and it shows you the craft that they put into it. They used what they had to make it look the best they could. And the sound is just, like I said, I had the headphones in. So, at first it's a little, we don't often see shootouts with just silencers. So it takes a second for my brain to adjust to that. But then the more it happens, that's when I got that Night of the Living Dead film, because they just keep coming with the sound. You hear those little pops.
See, like the papers.
Oh,
I loved it. I was like,
so
man,
good.
it was so good. It was just too long enough.
It was
like it was just like, oh shit, like,
It's funny too. Like the first time I saw this movie, I swore that like their assault just like kept on coming.
Never
you know what I mean? Like I forget that there's so many like breaks.
Strategic. They're not dumb.
No.
Yeah.
The gang is not dumb.
They're not dumb.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, they're crazy.
They're crazy,
but they're
yeah,
not.
totally. But they're not dumb.
They had a plan.
Yeah.
And I love that we never know what the fucking plan
Yeah.
was. And because I mean, if I was directing, if I was a director, if I was like, we got to cut to the meeting.
Right.
And the fact that like no gang
Martinez, move that body. You park the car.
100%, like hey, if whoever goes down, we drag them out. Yeah, right. I just love that. Like
it's all mystery.
Yeah, no gang member ever had a name.
Yeah,
Like it made me feel like
none of them say a word.
No,
it made me feel like Alien.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
It was just like and like when you first told me to watch this movie, I was like, why are we watching this 2005 movie? I was like, I didn't think it was that great. and I'll be honest, I didn't know there was an original from John Carpenter.
Sure. I'm glad I said it then, because I think it was one of you or maybe both of you. I was like, the John Carpenter one.
You told me that, yeah.
I think you told us both.
I didn't realize there was a remake, to be honest with you. So
yeah, see, I didn't know there was an original.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, this one is, I mean, the remake is nowhere near the amount of filmmaking that happened in the first one. I mean,
it's only like 90 minutes.
I mean, whoever made the second one, they should feel bad. Like, I love Ethan Hawke. I think he's one of the best actors of our generation, as well as Lawrence Fishburne.
Same here. I love Ethan Hawke.
But that fucking movie was bad.
I
honestly, I'm sorry. Compared to the original. When I first saw it, I was like, I'm entertained. This is fun.
Right.
I can dig on this. But then I watched the original, like, you were trying to pay homage to that. Like, oh, guys, you fucking missed it.
Yeah, I
you should have been assault on Precinct 14.
I remember like never hearing anything. Like it feels like one of those movies that just kind of fell into obscurity, and then
there's some of your bourbon.
Yeah,
you save it for the next one.
No, there's other ones.
And Yeah, it was maybe like 6 months ago or less that I finally like rented it on YouTube and watched it.
Which
the Ethan Hawke one.
Okay,
Because I'd been curious to see it. And I think because the order I saw it in, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have any expectations for this. I can appreciate when it's all right, they're doing something different. It's all right, corrupt cops. You know, you got Gabriel Byrne.
I mean, that's
and
that,
they do get
doing a psycho thing.
That makes sense today.
Yeah, and it's just like, it still is not even close to the.
Not
original.
even like,
It's just not.
If there is anyone listening that hasn't seen the 1976 version, watch it.
Yeah, you fucked up already because we've ruined a lot of it.
And if there's anyone, that has only seen the 1976 version, hasn't seen 2005, don't watch it.
You know, there is a moment in there where they kill the spoiler alert in that new one where they kill his psychiatrist or whatever that like shouldn't have even been there.
There's
that part was
psychiatrist at the
what the one who she has the meetings with, but that part was kind of, I was like, oh shit, that's pretty fast. It's not quite the little girl.
Like, this isn't a vanilla swirl. No man,
there's not many scenes I've seen like that.
Yeah, because I feel like there's a lot of remakes of films where I can like validate both versions.
Yeah,
and honestly, I cannot validate the 2005 version. Like I think it was an entertaining flick when I watched it. But when it comes down to just pure filmmaking, this 1976 was like,
John Carpenter's
I can't believe you're telling me it's his second film.
Yeah,
like, you know, I'm not as big as I'm not as big as
$100,000. Yeah,
like I'm not as big as like I find myself as not like a movie buff. I'm like a movie watcher.
Yeah.
You know,
like you can tell.
Yeah. And I think you guys like you guys know about movie like this was definitely shot with this type of camera. And I'm like, really? That's super cool.
But that says it all. Like because of that, your word has way more weight.
Yes.
Than like
I've been saying that for years. And let's bring up some other shit we've been holding back.
Because the fact that you can watch it now and then after all this stuff in full confidence say like that was like the way better movie.
I was honestly especially because it's 1976, I was prepared for it to be a poorer movie, like just like altogether quality acting, right? Like it's 1976. They just don't have it.
Yeah,
and the only thing that I can really knock on it is that no one knew how to hold a gun. Like if you really watch them holding the guns and like when like Bishop grabs the shotgun and he like, you'll see him like, I feel like so many actors now get like a, I took a 3 month, I took a 3 month training with the SWAT team.
Yeah.
You know, and with these guys,
Keanu Reeves is training.
Yeah.
Through
and
military
like, hey,
training.
here's a shotgun. You know, it's a pump action, right? Yeah. Cool. There you go. And like,
and that probably was exactly
that's
it.
probably
like when you see, Bishop was the cop, right?
Yeah.
We see him like holding the 30-06 like down like this. I'm like, listen, bud, I own a 30-06, and when you pull that trigger, it hurts.
Yeah, that's good.
And he's like not even aiming. He's just like pow, pow. And honestly, that's like one of the only like. Yeah. And even when she's holding that, which I think it looks like a 357, it might be a 38. Even that gun, that gun pops back at you. And that was the only thing I was like, okay, there it is. But like, I think that's something that, as a movie watcher, we've been conditioned into these newer movies where, like you just said, like Keanu Reeves, like I took a 6-month course, the SWAT team.
You could watch his YouTube videos of him training.
Yeah. I was embedded with them in Iraq. Like, God damn,
defending our country. All these premise for the movie.
Yeah,
he's like when they're like cocking on their chest.
Yeah,
like God, just point it that way and shoot it, man.
Yeah,
but that's the only thing. That's the only thing I felt like that it felt like a 1976 100K movie,
right?
Where they couldn't take like, hey, dude, you're gonna go be with LAPD for 6 months.
That's the thing, though, because even watching like other like higher budget, high quality films of the 70s, this one when I watch it, I don't think like, oh man, yeah, they didn't have the budget to do this shit. It's like it's very,
they didn't do it. They didn't do training back then. So
but like it's very contained and everything. And I'm like, when you know it's a low budget, it's like, oh, you can see why some decisions were made, but it works for the movie. And it's kind of like it makes me think of the Jon Favreau's approach to Swingers, him and Doug Liman when they made it, where it's like, all right, we have this budget. we got to change it because we don't want to try to do these big ideas with a small budget because then people are going to see that it's a small budget.
Yeah.
It's like we've got to do like the even smaller version so it looks bigger kind of thing.
Yeah, the smallest thing.
And similar with like a Clerks, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, just really well done. I mean, John Carpenter, I feel, is almost maybe next to George Romero and even Ida Lupino in the 50s. Is like one of the OGs of that independent filmmaking. Dude. You know what I mean? That like doesn't quite like he was Robert Rodriguez before Robert Rodriguez. You know? Definitely. Yeah. Man, but on the gun tip, when they're the editing when they're busting open the lock and he opens it. And he throws it to Napoleon and dun dun dun.
Oh, so good.
And the way they look at each other after, because Bishop's like, oh, I just gave him the gun. They don't know yet. Like they're in the zone, but they don't quite know
that
yet.
moment makes up
so
for
good.
The moment of him like look like, oh shit, I gave the guy a shotgun.
Yeah,
that makes up for the mishandling of the shotgun. And once again, only because I am
just like
we're out of once again because I am a shotgun owner, and I would give it up in a moment if my country asked me to. But it's like, hey, I don't think that gun's gonna work that fast. But I just key into little moments like that. But the moment is completely trumped when it's just like, I just threw the shotgun to a serial killer.
It just the editing leading up to that, it's so like he knew what he was doing. And apparently he lifted that from I think that was straight out of Rio Bravo too. I think like there's a
some point we gotta watch that.
Yeah, where Wayne like throws it to another guy and they do this.
But I just love the lack of hesitation.
Yeah,
it was like, no, you have to have this gun right now.
Yeah,
and in real life, that's what it would be.
Yeah,
I could see like if Matt was over there, I'm like, well, Matt, I hope you know how to use this. I'm not gonna like, Matt, have you taken a safety course? I was gonna throw the gun to Matt and hope it goes well.
There's this television show from the 60s my dad used to watch called The Rifleman, and literally he just cocks the thing and it shoots. You don't have to pull the trigger or anything. So a lot of scenes are like that. And the only reason I know that is because I've watched my dad. He'll be at home with his mouth open and a smile, watching The Rifleman blast.
There was a moment where Napoleon's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like,
oh, I forgot to talk that thing a couple times.
But honestly, that's still happening today.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I know that shotgun you have holds 4 rounds.
Oh yeah,
and I think you just shot 75 times.
Yeah.
I mean, the only ones that really ever feel realistic to me anymore is John Wick.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's one that really
because he's
feels,
reloading every 5 seconds,
and it's like, yes, that's how hard it would be. Yes,
that or like hard boiled.
Hard boiled. That's the other one. Oh my gosh, we're ridiculous. There's one other thing I want to touch on. I'm not sure because we've gone on for 8 hours at this point, which tells you a lot for a 90-minute movie that we're still talking
it's
about.
It's so
right?
good.
We are at the 1 hour 29 minute 54.
Oh, look at that! We've gone.
We can't go longer than the movie.
Yeah. There was the ending hallway scene is super fun where okay, I know you want to say something. I thought they did a good. To be honest with you, I don't quite understand how they corralled the gang to go in through that spot, but it didn't matter at this point. Was there something that they told us or something?
No, they didn't corral them. The gang just like eventually broke in.
They chose that spot.
It's like they're just looking everywhere.
Yeah, because it's either upstairs or downstairs.
Because they were going. They mentioned the basement. They could, that made sense to me. Like she's got 3 rounds. At least I could.
It's funny.
We're gonna put our last stand.
It's funny because we're both. I don't know how he shot the bottle of kerosene.
That's right. That's the other thing. But at that point, I didn't care, and it kind of looks like he was guessing anyway.
Yes, that's what I'll give it.
The smoke, they gave
the smoke, and it was like, ooh. I think that's what gives you a little bit of the hesitation, like they're not gonna make it. Because I even like that you see the guys like hands like they get hit, they're bleeding.
Yeah,
I was feeling a little Night of the Living Dead again, by the way.
But
the idea of like retreating to the basement, the last stand.
But I was like, how's this dude gonna? Like, this guy's been handling this rifle pretty poorly the whole time, and now he's going to hit this kerosene, and it was like, ooh. But
and Napoleon knows, too, because even the way he's like, we're going to put it up here, but it's the only thing they got. Like, in Bishop, Austin Stoker acts it so well where he's just like, all right, we got that tank, throw it here, hold him off with the sign, do this. And you can tell Napoleon is like, this is a shit idea, but this is all we got. This is all we got.
There's nothing else.
And it says so much about him too, where you can see in his vibe that he knows that.
His performance.
But he just says, well, you can't argue with the confident man because he's like, can you hit it? You got 3 shots. And he's like, yeah, I got it. And he's like, all right, you can't argue with the confident.
I do like that line a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And because it is like, in the way I interpret that is I think they all feel this is going to be the end for them. You know, it's literally the last stand. It's like, well, this is what we got. We're going to do it. Probably the end, but here we go.
That's one of the things that works for Napoleon's vibe too. Is like, you really think about it, he's got nothing to lose for his perspective. So, hey, this was not.
Yeah,
you love that approach. Wouldn't it be great to? It's so freeing if you ever have those opportunities in life to have that kind of who gives a fuck at this point, right? And so, like, you almost I think as an audience member, I was like, dude, what a freeing position to be in. That you're gonna die one way or the other. Why not just why not choose what seems to be the best?
Yeah,
choice?
and that's that talk with Lee too down there where she asks him like, hey, like, why didn't you just leave with Wells when you have the chance? And he's like, well, what did he say? He's like, I learned when I was young, like, you never like run out on somebody that needs help or something like that. He's like, you never leave them, something like that. Someone who can't like fight with you. I don't remember. I'll add the line. And he's like, and then 2, and they don't say it. And they just look at each other.
That's it. There was also a great line where,
and that's when he says, I was born out of time. She's like, we're out of time. He's like, but that goes to what you're saying, where he's like, this is the end. What do I have to lose? He's like,
fuck it. He's
like, time's been against me my whole life. I was born out of time. And like, we're going to fucking die here in a blaze of glory, you know? Man.
There's a line I loved. I'm totally drawing a blank. What's the cop's name? Sorry, I've already. Bishop asks Napoleon. Napoleon says, Bishop wants to ask him a question, and Napoleon says, "The question you want to ask me?" And then I'm fucking this up. Fuck. Just move on. I'm sorry.
Maybe in a few minutes, because he tells it to Stalker or whatever.
Yeah, the question you want to ask me. Yeah, and it's not. Then doesn't it like
Yeah, it was why did you kill those guys, or whatever? And he's like, when are you going to tell me? He's like, at the time of dying, which he definitely lifted from Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah, because
that's what Charles Bronson was saying to what's his name? He's like, moment of dying, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So it's the same kind of,
There's so many good lines in the movie.
And when the dudes bust in and he's like, I might tell you in a moment here. Well, and I love the sign too, the support your local police. Like, really, it could have just been a board. Support your local police.
So good.
Brilliant. Yeah, I remember in the theater, that was great. Everyone just fucking started laughing in that moment.
There's one last moment that I almost chuckled at because the movie didn't do this. But after, Bishop gives the cop shit for putting the cuffs on Napoleon after the whole thing has gone over.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, he goes, walk out with me. I swear to God, they were going to high five. And all of a sudden they were going to smile and freeze frame like chips or something. I was like,
man, they all jump together.
I was like, Carpenter missed an opportunity there, but because like everything from the 70s and 80s has conditioned us to to do that.
I do, man. I do love that moment. So yeah, he pushes that cop away.
I like that. Yeah, I love the moment.
And when he's just like, it would be a privilege or an honor, if you walked out with me, man. I love it. And then I don't remember what Napoleon says, but then when Stoker or Bishop just starts laughing, he's like, "You're pretty fancy, Wilson. I have my moments." He's so cool. He's so cool.
Even after he's going back to
he's so cool. Yeah. And that they would just leave it. They just walk through the hallway. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, the music starts.
Dun 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 dun.
Good theme.
Here's another little fun fact for you. So John Carpenter, the editor is John T. Chance, which is actually John Wayne's character's name, and I think Rio Bravo. Yeah. And so John Carpenter edited the movie.
That son of a bitch.
Dude's talented. To say the least.
Yeah. Great movie. I'm so glad you guys.
Thanks for sharing it, man.
I'm
super
really
super
glad.
enjoyed
it. I was like, I'm always worried sometimes when you ask me to watch a movie.
Yeah.
And then this one fucking blew it out.
Delivered on all fronts.
It was so good.
Yeah. There's no, you can't, this is not 90 minutes. There's nothing to lose.
Ethan Hawke should have been in this. His fetus should have been in this one.
You guys been acting since he was like 6. He should have been in this one.
He should have been the little girl, but pulled out his own Uzi.
I love Ethan Hawke, but man, he is no Austin Stoker's Bishop.
Oh, no.
And I love Lawrence Fishburne, but he is no Darwin Jostin as Napoleon.
I mean,
and I'm bummed that he didn't have a bigger acting
He could have been, but the whole setup was fucking. If they would have done a word for word remake, maybe I could see Lawrence Fishburne doing some shit, but the fact that they went on their own and did their own thing, which
if you're gonna do it, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I want to give them credit. Like, good for you. But you missed it. Yeah. You missed it.
Yeah, but yeah, man.
You should have killed a little girl in an ice cream truck.
Every actor on point. And again, for being low budget,
so
a lot of people like first shots and all that. Like the dude who plays Napoleon didn't really do much else. Again, even I don't remember the actress that played Lee, but I don't think she did anything after this.
I recognize her. Her name was.
I was thinking about that too.
Yeah,
like Lori Zimmer.
Lori Zimmer, yeah.
And Assault on Precinct 13.
That's it, right? Yeah, like even on IMDb, I think her only photo is from this movie.
God, so bummer.
One thing I will say real quick, and I mean, obviously we'll wrap this up, but the first cop that's at the front desk who's like, all right, I'll use the radio in my car, and like the first guy to get gunned down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, he looks so familiar to me. I don't know who that is though. And then the commentary, John Carpenter is like, oh, I forgot the actor's name, but he's like, he's the one who played Scar in The Searchers. And that's why
he does look familiar to me. None of The Searchers is.
I finally saw it, and at the $1 Million Theater in downtown LA, like on film print. Yeah, finally watched it. But he's the guy.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, he's the guy that plays like the leader of the Native Americans.
Oh, really? Okay.
In The Searchers, yeah,
dude,
that guy.
It's on my. I literally own the film and I haven't watched it yet. So
it's good. Yeah, I'm glad I finally saw it. It was great for me to see it in the theater too.
And that's the thing, man. I'm so jealous of that.
And even with Rio Bravo, like, yesterday I was almost going to rent it when I got the Sally's pad, but I was like, fuck, it's already like 11.
I know, dude.
I got to wake up for work. And the Rio Bravo was like a 2.5 hour movie or 2:20. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know that I can.
Western.
Yeah. And at that time with those guys, I'm like, I don't know that I can handle this right now.
Push it to sleep, man.
Yeah, like John Carpenter knew when to, knew exactly what it needed to be. Yeah.
Great film, man.
I dug it.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's a wrap. Everybody, thanks for listening. Hopefully you've seen this movie. If you haven't, but you listened to our conversation, I'm sure you'll be
cheers
excited to watch. Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinAmoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.